Hi, in this video we're going to use a scanned image as a layer so that we can trace a motif to use for our surface pattern development. So the first thing I want to do is I've started a new board. This is my 17 by 11. You can work in whatever size you want. Just make sure you kind of know what size you are working in so you can scale your artwork. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to place my antler scan. Okay, there we go. I'm going to use this only as a reference. So I could keep it here and draw with my pen tool next to it, or I could actually lock it on a layer behind. So if I open my layers, I want to lock this layer because I don't want to use this image. We're going to get rid of it afterwards. And I'm going to add another layer. So this layer here is the one that I'm going to be drawing on. I can zoom in. I'm going to give myself a little room under here because I think we might need to review the pen tool a little bit as well. If I use my eyeball, I can turn off my layers so I know what I'm working with. And I want to come over here to the pen tool. Within the pen tool, you have add anchor point, delete, and then your other anchor point tool. You want to make sure that you're on the pen tool to start with. Okay. In class we did a clipping mask. In the next video I'll remind you how to do the clipping mask. Right now I'm just going to work with all my layers and drawing my shapes. So I'm going to start drawing. Now remember, with the pen tool, if you click and drag while you're not clicking anymore and click again, that's going to give you a straight line. If I click and drag, I get those little Bezier points. Okay. Right now I don't have any strokes, so let me change that so you guys can see what I'm doing. I don't want any fill, but I do want a stroke to it. Okay. So again, I come here, straight line. As I start to click and drag, I can control the curve. And the further you drag out your handles, the more slack you're going to get between your points. So it definitely takes some getting used to in how you want to draw. So let me just get this out of the way. And I'm going to draw around my antler. Starting here on this layer, pen tool. I can do any sort of alterations to my pen tool up here if I want to. I think stroke of 1 point is fine. Now you can use the mouse, you can use a Wacom tablet, you can use your touchpad, depends on what type of computer you're using and what you're comfortable with. I'm going to do this fairly quickly so that we can move on to more in the video. But I could certainly spend much more time being more accurate, and then I could also spend more time cleaning up by using your direct select tool and picking specific anchor points and moving those. So moving along. Now the reason why I don't put any fill in it yet is because I want to be able to see all of the detail in this particular image. I do decide to use my fill when I'm checking to make sure that I have closed shapes. Remember, we want to make sure that we're working with closed shapes. So that way we can fill or use clipping masks with them. There are other tools within Illustrator that I could use if I wanted to do some sort of decorative line work. I could use a brush, I could use my pen tool and not have it as a fill or not worry about it being a closed shape. But for this, I definitely want it to be a closed shape. And I want to work on different layers so that I can get different aspects of the antler. So here's my one outline. If I close the eyeball on the antler, you can see what I did. Okay, great. So here's this one. I'm going to lock this one, and I'm going to open a new layer. Now, it is good to get in the habit of labeling your layers. So I'm going to layer this outline. I'm going to come up here to layer 2, and I'm going to call this dark shadows. So what I'll do here is focus on these dark areas that I want to draw in. So I still want it to look like a hand-drawn, almost a cartoon-like antler. So here I'm going to, let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, great, I have my pen tool. I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to start to draw some shapes. Leaving a little bit of space between the outline. I don't have to. Stylistically, I'm making this my own image. Into here, and let me do just one more. Again, I'm doing this really quickly just so I don't have you forever watching this video. And here. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that that's closed. All right, great. I'm going to add another layer. And this one I'm going to call highlight. And I'm just going to put one highlight in here for now. My pen tool. Now I can certainly do so many more things than just outline and fill. We have all sorts of filters that we can use, which we'll go into later on. Right now, the only things that we have been practicing with are our pen tool and the clipping masks. And like I said, I'll do a clipping mask in the next video after this. So now I have all my shapes. So I can come back in here, and I can come to my outline, unlock it. I'm going to lock my other layers. So I'm working on the outline. Let me just close the eye so you can see. I'm working on the outline. I want to use the colors that I had already chosen. So I'm going to go to Window, Swatches. Remember, I have to load them in. Here we go. And for the base of my antler, I am going to use something like this. Okay. I need to activate my shape. And here we go. All right. So that's filled in. It does have an outline. It does have a stroke. I could choose, if I want to keep the stroke black, which I will do for this purpose, or I could go ahead and I could change the weight of the stroke, I could change the color of the stroke. Let me go in here now to my dark shadows. I'm going to lock this one, unlock this one. My dark shadows, I'm going to do like this plum color. So that's set up. My path, dark plum, path, dark plum, and path. Now I could use the Shift key and select all three at the same time, That's fine. I'm going to lock this, go to my next layer, highlight, unlock, and let me pick a highlight color. I think that's the one that I want to use. So now when I activate this, here we go. So there, now I have a stylized antler that I can use and put into Repeat. So I could use this as this motif, or I could actually use this to create a more complicated motif, which I will use in a future video. But right now, this is how you can use your tracing on different layers to get a motif. If we look, okay, this layer here, this was my original layer. I don't need that anymore. So I could actually get rid of it. Bring it right down to the trash and get rid of that line. So now I have my, put my eyes back on so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, stay tuned to the next video where I will do a clipping mask rather than fill it in.